Welcome back, everybody. So I'm just gonna start digging into the carbs here on my 97 VT1100. Ideally, before you go and take anything off and before you go and take the battery out, what you'll want to do is turn your petcock into the off position, have the bike running, and let it just drain itself out, burn off all the fuel out of the lines and stuff. Take your seat off, whether you have a rear seat here, you have to take that bolt off, plus these two, but I have just the Sola seat on, so all it is I've already taken them out. Two 6mm Allen wrench bolts that I'm not sure if you'll be able to see. One goes there, one goes there, and as you can see on the Allen wrench, 6mm. Once you get those 2 or 3 bolts out, your seat should just lift right off like that. Next up, you want to remove the 2 bolts for the gas tank. This one at the base of the tank is just a 12mm. Second bolt is at the top of the tank, here just behind where your handlebars and stuff mount. It's an 8mm. As you can see, I got my 8mm there. And I want to grab yourself some old rags or microfiber cloths or whatever that you don't care about getting dirty. Just tuck them down here on top of your key. Just take a pair of needle nose, crimp that hose connector, take flathead screwdriver, and try to... Alright, so as you can see here, I did manage to get it pulled away a little bit, so I will hopefully slide that down. Got the fuel line off the petcock there. As you can see, there's 2 ridges that it kind of butts up against, which makes it a little more difficult to come off. Got one more hose to take off, and that's this vent hose up here. Most of the time it just slides off pretty easy, like so. Before you go and take your tank off, just set up a little area that you can set it down, not directly on the ground. This is how I prop the tank up. As you can see, I got a cloth there on both sides of the front. The back's propped up. And as you can see there, the petcock isn't on the ground. Once you get the tank and the seat off, you have to remove this little canister here. All it is 2 hoses. I've got a hose clamp here. Pull that hose off. The second hose on this canister is right down in there. It's this one that goes up from the T. Once you get those 2 hoses off, just take your 10mm socket, undo this, and it comes right out. That's off. This just pulls right out. Now you're going to want to remove this. There is this bolt at the top. Loosen that off. And then there's this one right here. Loosen that off. And the other one is right down there. Pops off. Pop that side off. Once you get that undone, if you're having a hard time too getting it off, this main part and this can come apart. As you can see, it's a 2-piece setup. Before you go and take anything off the carburetors, you're going to want to drain the float bowls and all the fuel out of it. So what I do is I just take a piece of fuel line and there's a little nipple up in there. Alright, so you see where the fuel line is. There's a little nipple, if you can see in there. And all I do is just kind of push it on there. And then I'll run the other end of the fuel line into a jar of some sort. This is just an old Cheese Whiz jar, but I'll just lean that there like that. Make sure it's still on. Take a flat screwdriver. Open that up. And as you can see, there's fuel coming out. Next up, just remove the choke cable. Just little plastic knobs that turn off. Just be careful taking these out, because there is a little needle and stuff in there. You don't want to lose this. So yeah, there's the needle for the choke. It's a good idea too to have like your work area already set up. This way you can just take the carbs off and set them here. Come over to this side. Take this one off. On this particular bike, the size of the plastic nut that's on here is a 14 mil. Remove the throttle cables, and all I do is take a star screwdriver, take this little bracket off here. So once you get that off, what I do is I'll just pull this forward a little bit, give yourself some slack. This way you can just pop that off. Slide that off. When you get to this stage, you've only got a couple more things to do. That is to loosen off this bolt right here. And this one right here. And disconnect this fuel line and this fuel line. Once you remove those things, there is a bolt here on your carburetor that is pretty solid, and this part of your motor is pretty solid too. All I'll do is just take a small screwdriver or a little pry bar, and you just get on there as a little bit of leverage, and with those sleeves being loose, this act as a nice leverage, and you'll be able just to pop that out on that side, and you should be able to turn the carburetor and pull it out. I've already had the carburetors out this past summer, and I rejetted them and stuff, so I'm not going to actually remove them from the bike. I hope this video has been helpful for anybody. If it has, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, keep your shiny side up. Till next video, stay safe.